Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your merry host, Jesse Gender, and I'm joined as always by...
It's Vera.
I feel like I've definitely done Mary before. I'm so worried.
mm. And happy holidays. I hope you got a chance to go ride a reindeer.
No, I sadly did not ride a reindeer. I've been dealing with
You could have called me, you know.
Oh, I get it, because you're a reindeer, because you're wearing the reindeer ears. It was a sex joke all along.
The fact that it took you that long is
I'm tired,
depressing.
Vera. I'm tired. I had to not only host my own Christmas party this weekend, I had to attend a Christmas party, and then had a whole emotional journey with a friend whose cat got out this weekend that I had to go help. So I'm just tired. I am tired. Bah humbug. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm actually gonna take these off because these are
that's
they
so
are
fun.
pinching my head. They are not padded the way the headset is.
Oh, well, it's not like they're pinching all that much, so.
I have a very large head, thank you very much.
No, I meant the stuff inside the head. Not much in there. Get it? I'm calling you dumb.
No, I'm just gonna let you continue to explain the joke so you feel like more of an ass.
I don't feel bad. You think I'm gonna feel bad for insulting you? I don't feel bad at all.
No, I don't think you would ever feel bad for insulting me. I think just maybe you would feel foolish that I'm letting you continue to explain it while giving you no banter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There's tactics. This is a strategy battle.
Well, how are you, Vera? How have you been? How has the past week been?
I'm doing all right. We are cripes at time of recording halfway through December.
Yeah, it's not Christmas yet for us, everybody, but
yeah,
we're almost there.
Good grief.
I know, believe
Working
me.
through the eggnog.
I know, 2025 needs to end is what it needs to do. Get them, is that the maple rum?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Have you had it in eggnog yet?
No, I wanted to. I will say I had a Christmas party and someone, sorry to name drop, but Lindsay Ellis of all people was at the party. Sorry, name dropping, and she brought 2 different versions of eggnog, so we had to do like a taste test of the eggnog, which was a very fun experience. So
interesting.
Yeah. So that was fun. I also made mulled wine.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, it was a good party. We had a good time. Got very wasted. There was a lot of beer. I would definitely put it in my top 5 parties of all time. That'll be our transition, because today we are not talking about Battlestar Galactica, as you very aggressively told me last week. The end of last week's episode. But
I wouldn't have had to, except you got all insisted with telling the audience, like, be sure you watch this. And I was like, no.
Next week we will. Next week we will.
Yes.
Not this week.
So you can do your spiel again at the end of this.
But today we are going to be going over our top... What? Oh, your drink. I'm like, what did I say now? What? Can't you let me just do this in peace, Vera?
No.
All right. Fuck you. Well, today we're going to be talking about, for the 3rd time, I will try to attempt to say this. We are talking about our top 5 favorite things from the year. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 best TV shows, top 5 best movies, top 5 best video games, and then top 5 best other assorted shit that we have watched this year, or read this year, or encountered this year, whatever you want to. Basically, the potpourri bag of whatever the hell you want to put in that other top 5.
So pretty much. Hold on, I need to I had something on my list that was probationary, and that needs to come off.
Yeah, take it
There.
off, Vera. Yeah, unfortunately, we're on video now, so you can't do that shit.
I know where the camera cuts off.
And you
You
also edit
say I
it.
can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, and you also edit it too. So
That too. I can just put a big blur bar right there.
you can, you very much can. Well, how do you want to start this off? Do you want to? I think probably the best would be TV shows. We start off with TV shows, then
Sure.
do video games, other media, then end with movies. That feels like a good flow that
Yeah, it
people go
sounds
to.
good.
All right, then we'll start off with favorite TV shows. So we'll run this like we did last year, where I will give one, you will give one. Do you have honorable mentions? Because I have some honorable mentions.
Trying to think for TV shows. No, I do not.
All right, then what I'll do, how I'll run this, I have honorable mentions for everything, so we'll alternate back and forth. But when I do my number five, I'll say my honorable mentions really quickly and then get into my top five, and we'll go from there. So I'll
That
start
works.
off. I'll start off, and then we'll alternate from there. So starting off, best TV shows. These are just my honorable mentions. I won't go into them too deeply, but Severance. Long Story Short, which is the new comedy by the BoJack Horseman creator, was a lot of fun. Murderbot, The Studio, Adolescence, and then Alien Earth, which I know is probably the most controversial choice of my honorable mentions. But
That
I,
that one was also probationarily on it, and then the last episode came out, and it didn't. While the last episode of Alien Earth didn't sink my opinion on the entire show, it was deeply underwhelming as a finale.
I didn't hate the finale. I know I'm in the minority on that, but
I I don't hate the finale as an episode. I hate it as a finale.
And again, I get that. I have a higher tolerance for that sort of like cliffhangery stuff. It was a gamble considering he didn't know he was going to get a season two,
Yeah,
but
he
he
pulls
did.
that shit again, I'm gonna be real pissed.
He might. He very well might.
I know.
That's Noah Hawley. Anyways, we will start off with my number five pick, which is probably going to shock no one, though I will say I'm shocked that it is this low. Is Star Wars Andor season two. I've made it very clear, like Star Wars Andor season one is one of my favorite seasons of TV ever. It is fantastic. Season two, I think, continue that. I do think is a step down from season one, and that's just because season one was so great. Like the prison episode of season one was some of the best television I've ever seen, and season two is also great. It has some amazing stuff. But if it had matched up to season one, it would have been number one. But here it's just number five. That being said, though, it is still really, really great. The stuff with Gorman and showcasing how fascism and empire elicits, consent for genocide and how it propagandizes genocide and propagandizes the dehumanization of people is extremely well articulated. It's a show that looks at how you build up coalitions and anti-fascist movements while also not like shying away from how like there's tension within these groups, there's problems within these groups that you have to work through. It has a beautiful poeticism about it that is often sometimes forgotten in shows like this, where like it does have a sense of like looking at like beauty and what connects us and what binds us in a really wonderful way. The acting is phenomenal. The like just so many like banger moments throughout the season were really, really great. And I think there's just a few things here and there that bring it down for me, like the minor spoilers for people. The bury your gays moment, I didn't particularly love. The final scene of the episode of the series, while some people liked, I was kind of out on. But other than that, I think it was a phenomenal show. And then just as a Star Wars fan, was really, really fantastic to see. And we will sadly probably never get something like it ever again in Star Wars. I will have to deal with my Glup Shittos and my Grogu and the Mandalorians for the rest of time. But I will at least appreciate getting this wonderful series. So Star Wars and/or season two is my number five.
That is on my list. It's slightly higher up, but I'll just talk about it now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I largely agree. It is not as good as the first season, but it did not it didn't chicken out on what I deeply loved about the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I would say it reinforced a lot of what I deeply loved about that first season. And like at this point, in terms of second seasons to shows that had amazing first seasons, Arcane has really put me on edge about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're having a paranoia that what I thought was so great about the first season was something the creators either didn't appreciate or didn't even realize they were doing. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't trust that stuff's going to carry over in second season. But while I won't dispute, some of the hiccups on some basically unforced errors on a couple of things, the heart of it, the core of it, the main messaging and the main point of it was just as strong as it
Mm-hmm.
was in the first season. It just had a couple of tripping points, but I was really both relieved and satisfied because I've actually gotten to the point where if the first season of something is great, I dread
Season
the
twos.
the following season because it feels like a curse at this point. A truly amazing first season, and it just nosedives after that. I've heard it was so much like I've had it happen now with Severance as well. Like I'm not saying there's nothing bad, but it just chose to focus on all the stuff that I was way less interested in its
Mm-hmm.
second season. And I haven't seen Yellow Jackets, but I've heard that from fans of that. I'm like, the first season was so good. I'm like, and how is it now? And they're like,
Yeah, my Erin, my partner, she watches it and that she has that same exact look. It's like season one's great, and then I asked, "What about season two?" She's like, she gets like a shadow comes over her face.
yeah. So just and or having as good a second season as it. Now, as I said, that's not my number five. That's higher up. So I'll mention it when we get to its actual placement. My number five is Has Been Hotel season two,
Hmm.
which is also not perfect by any means, and I voiced my issues with it as I was reviewing it. That having been said, especially once the season was done, um, and I've lightened up on stuff that happened with Charlie. I was real harsh on it because it leaned so heavily into cringe, which I don't like. But
Hmm.
like as a developed character flaw for her, I do think it was well executed. As much as I personally kind of hated watching her make the very specific mistake she was making. The animation was great. They brought in some really good action scenes, which was nice to see because action scenes has generally been something more in the Hell of a Boss area. Hell of a Boss has some kick-ass fights if you've never actually seen that show
Oh,
through.
I have seen both. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Has Been generally has the like. It's funny they both have musicals and they both have action, but generally Hell of a Boss has had much better action and Has Been Hotel has had much better songs.
Oh, I listened to
But
Gravity for the song Gravity from season two. It's on regular rotation now. Yeah, it's a banger.
Gravity is amazing. There's some other really good ones in there as well. I like the love song that's called Piss.
It's a good one too.
That's
Yeah.
like and just as a former theater kid, or I guess adult theater kid, it's
I
it,
was
it's
say you're
like
still, yeah.
I was gonna say it's like being a Catholic, like recovering Catholic. You never actually stop being it. Like yeah,
Yeah.
recovering theater kid. It has an energy that I can't find in other stuff that is
Hmm.
being put out that I just really, really cling to. I'm like, I'm with my people. My people who fuck up and make mistakes and do stuff I wish they didn't, but it's still my people.
Yeah. Messy, sloppy queers. We stand.
Yes, yes. It is messy, sloppy queers, the show.
All right. My number four is The Rehearsal season two.
Hmm.
Which if people don't know what this is, The Rehearsal season one is Nathan Fielder's reality show, not a reality show, but like it's hard to describe what it really is because season one was Nathan Fielder basically over preparing and over rehearsing for everyday social interaction. So like episode one was this guy who wanted to like ask a girl out on a date. So Nathan Fielder literally built a replica of the bar, hired actors, and like planned out every scenario like it was a video game like logic tree to have this guy prepare for every single moment. But then he goes ridiculously over the top, like planning out like his apartment and how he like how he goes about his day and like just going like to the point where at the end of the season he's literally like built his own house and is raising a like fake kid but then talking about the ethics of like having a kid involved in this rehearsal stuff. Like the ethics, like I was legitimately watching season one, like the ethics of this feel not okay, and it was a very fascinating look at it. Season two is a radically different beast because, and I was initially very nervous to see what it was going to do after I watched the first episode, where he's trying to deal with this problem in aviation where it turns out most crashes of planes are caused by the fact that, or not caused by, but a co-pilot who is not willing to speak up and correct the pilot because of the power dynamic. And
Hmm.
he's basically trying to, throughout the whole season, be like, how do I get to Congress to like address this? Like, how do I figure out ways to deal with this? And it's this interesting conversation about like, I'm a comedian and I'm trying to make a comedy show, but how do I get people to take me seriously? And I don't even want to spoil, and it's really hard to even describe because the where the show goes from there has some of the most ridiculous imagery I have ever seen in a TV show ever. Like there's one shot that like haunts my brain with it. He makes like a fake reality show within it that is like the wings of like it's an aviation American Idol that like the people who were in it did not know it was a fake show at the different times, and like it just is absolutely ridiculous, and yet at the end has one of the most emotional punches, biggest emotional punches I've ever seen, to the point where like, oh, that's actually, I see, like it all wraps around in this really interesting interrogation of like how we do not talk about mental health and mental health issues, and how we just like tell people to bury it down and not talk about it. It's a wildly ridiculous show that really hits hard, and I cannot recommend it enough, but it is definitely a big ride and hard to explain. So,
Nathan Fielder is one of those people who I find much more interesting to listen to other people talk about him than actually
mhm.
watch his stuff.
I can 100% understand that very much. So he is a very interesting man. His other show, The Curse, which came out last year with Emma Stone, was also really interesting. It was a fiction one, not a documentary, however you want to qualify the rehearsal. Um, but and it was equally very strange, but also really really good, but hard to recommend to anybody. So,
All right. So my number four is The Residence,
mm,
which was a mystery series on Netflix about a murder in the White House. And what was there were a couple of things that were really impressive about it. First of all, amazing cast and the detective character that they came up with, this character of Detective Cordelia Cup. I'm so annoyed that we're not going to get more stuff with this character because like she is not actively annoyed, but just kind of in the background in all of her interactions, annoyed to be here because she'd much rather be bird watching.
mm-hmm,
And like between her just being a fantastic character and the rest of the cast being really well fleshed out, it's so granular in terms of the running of the White House
mm-hmm.
and the actual makeup of the building. Um, because it's based on a book, but the book is a nonfiction book.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
It's based on a nonfiction book about the running of the White House and White House staff. And it took all of that and I don't know if this is literally what happened, but it feels like the makers were like, okay, what kind of story can we tell that lets us like make full use of this geography and really get, down to the tiny details of how everything connects and the way this all works. Oh, a murder mystery. And so they just plugged it in, but it's just got all this really incredible and fascinating detail based on the reality of running that house.
I really wanted
I
to watch. It's I'm
I
sorry.
really
It's popped up on my list a few times that I've been wanting to dive into it. I've just had too many other shows to finish up. But it is probably going to be one of my like comfort like before bed watches over the
Yeah.
next like
Oh,
month or two.
since we are on TV shows, it's worth mentioning to folks that we are recording this on the 15th. So there
Hmm.
are some things that have not come out yet. In
Like
my
Fallout
case,
season 2 or whatever.
Fallout Season 2 is the big one. That is not
Mhm.
out yet. So maybe it's great. We don't know.
Yes, yes. Well, Maybe the AI recap will be able to, to tell
Oh
it.
God, you heard
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, yeah. For
For
listeners,
li
yeah.
for listeners, um, Prime had introduced an AI recap feature for shows that are starting their later seasons. Now, Fallout was not the first one to get an AI recap. However, that was one where the failings of these things were so evident that they not only took down that AI recap, they scrapped the entire program and got rid of all of them. And when you want to know how bad it is, one of the things that was really focused on is the fact that, okay, Fallout, if you don't watch it, is a post apocalyptic show. I believe the year that it is set in is 2077. Now, it is kind of set in an alternate world, so there's kind of a retro futurism thing. It's not literally off our same timeline, but it is decidedly set in the future. And the recap claimed it was set in the 50s
Yep. Yep.
just because
Uh,
of the aesthetic.
yep.
Ugh.
AI, great. I love this future for us. Anyways, number three, my number three show is Pluribus, Vince Gilligan's new series. I've already talked a lot about this, and a lot of people have already talked about this. I'm doing my review, so I'll try and keep this relatively short. But I really love this idea. It, without spoiling, if you have not watched it, I don't want to ruin what it's about for people. But it is a show that is very much taking science fiction tropes and genres that we've seen before and playing them in a very different way. And I think having a really great conversation about individuality versus collectivism and not doing the stereotypical thing of like, even in Star Trek, like I love being like, the Borg are this evil collective that are going to try and, assimilate you. Like it's talking about the strengths of both of those things and the dangers of both of those things and having an interesting conversation about people who, acquiesce to collectivity or, have a sense of American exceptionalism, individualism ingrained in them. It's so fascinating. It's hard to talk around it without spoiling too much for people. But and it's centered around Ray Seahorn, I think is how you say her name, who many people know from Better Call Saul, and she is giving a phenomenal performance in the show. She was almost certainly going to win an Emmy. I will be shocked if she does not, or at least not get nominated for it. Um, yeah, it is really great. It is really if it is basically like taking the really interesting aesthetic of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and putting it into a really cool sci-fi trappings and talking about some really great themes. And on top of that, I'll even mention too, just something that I think a lot of people miss, a lot of good queer themes in terms of the main character Carol being a queer woman and using that to say some really interesting things that I probably will write an essay on at some point because I feel like a lot of people are overlooking that aspect of the show. So yeah, a really great show. Don't want to spoil it for you if you have not watched it, but if you have not, go watch it. It is really good. So
Don't have Apple TV, so
I we talk to me afterwards, not on recording.
you I have previously,
Well,
and
you need to ping me about it. You need to message me. It's on you.
you say this as if I don't have other shit to do too.
I'm just saying, you want the fuck it. You want the password, Vera? Just like you have to poke me. We're on Discord. Just poke me. I'll give it to you. So, not now. Not now. I have to look up the password. I don't remember what the fuck it is. I don't remember any of my goddamn passwords. Your turn. Take your number three, bitch.
Well, my number three was Andor season two, so I
Gotcha.
already talked about that. So we can move on.
All right. Well, then number two for me is another weird show by a very unique comedian. This one, The Chair Company by Tim Robinson. Tim Robinson, obviously a very unique comedian. I forget the show that he did on Netflix. He's basically his whole shtick is he is a guy who like will take a socially awkward situation and play it up to a 10. Like he'll take a character who feels like an awkward conversation, like someone eating food during a meeting or whatever at work, and like or like accidentally like running into somebody while you're trying to get a parking space in a garage, and like he'll play a character who is very anxious and like overcompensates and gets really aggressive about like feeling his embarrassment. And what I like about the Chair Company is it's basically a character from one of his sketches, having to exist for 8 episodes of a TV show, and it not just ending after 3 minutes. And it feels like that would get a lot. But what I like about it is it's the basic pitch of the show is this is a character who's like working in an office, feels like he is not living up to his dream, like he's a, kind of middle class guy who's like feeling like life has kind of swept him by, and he starts getting wrapped up in thinking that he's involved in some big conspiracy, all because during a meeting his chair breaks. So he starts like investigating the chairs. He's like, "Oh, this company like is building these chairs like it's all this like wild over the top like political conspiracy theory thriller thing, like all the trappings of a like the like 1970s like one night of the condor or whatever, one flight of the condor, or the parallax view sort of kind of thing. But you never know if he's just making it all up, if it's going nowhere, if he's just being ridiculous, or if there is something actually here. And it's a really good look at like masculinity and men who like feel like they have to overcompensate for masculinity, but it's not like talking about toxic masculinity, but just these men who feel like they don't live up to this certain embodiment of this ideal, and don't know how to exist within that, and how to like be to like feel like that it's okay to have like an average life and not have this life of importance that you felt like you were supposed to have. And it's very funny, it's very weird, it's very strange. Like the places this show goes are really wild and surreal. And it's just a really, really fun time. And cannot recommend The Chair Company enough. It's a really, really, really great show.
His previous show was I Think You Should Leave.
You think you should leave? Yeah, that's a sketch comedy show. Like imagine a show that is like a political thriller version of one of those sketches with a character that just exists for 8 episodes. That's toned down. Like he doesn't go to a 10 as he does in his sketches, but is a character that like that type of character existing for 8 episodes. So,
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
All right. So my number two is a specific episode of Black Mirror,
Ooh.
and that is Eulogy.
Oh yes, yes.
And because every season of Black Mirror is going to give me one episode that either blows me away or breaks me.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it broke me. Eulogy stars Paul Giamatti, and it is a really gorgeous and thoughtful and honest look at grief and memory and the lies we tell ourselves, and the fallibility of our ability of our core ability to even remember things at all, and then how much we should or shouldn't trust in that, and then what that shapes us into. And it does all this while never taking its eye off of a very simple story of a connection between two people. It's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really good, really, really good episode. Paul Giamatti, right, is the star of that
Yep.
one. Yeah, he
Yep.
gives a really great performance. That whole season, actually, I've been not that I thought like every season of Black Mirror has like is its ups and downs, but I've been kind of like, all right, Black Mirror's okay. This season of Black Mirror is generally just speaking really, really great. I pretty much liked almost every single episode.
Yeah. I think the weakest episode was Plaything. That was only because it ended in a weird place.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and I also really like their sequel to the Star Trek one. I'm blanking on
USS Callister.
USS Callister. The sequel to USS Callister, I really really liked. Honestly, in a year that also had I think Star Trek Section 31 come out, this is the best Star Trek movie.
Star Trek Section 31 and
Strange New Worlds season three.
3.
When will this come out? I can't. Listen. I got screeners for Star Trek Starfleet Academy. That's all. I'll probably get in trouble even for that, but I'll let it go. I'll let it slide. But yeah, this year was not good for Star Trek.
I'll probably cut out what you said, but I will
leave a beep in. Yeah,
I'll leave in that you said you saw it. I think I need to cut you saying anything about what you thought of it.
Yeah. Well, Vera probably cut me saying what I thought of it, but this year was not great for Star Trek. So it was good to have some type of Star Trek thing that was really good. So yeah, it was a good.
Even if it was the Black Mirror weird parody thing.
Yes. All right, my number one is The Pit season 1. This show, I knew I was probably gonna like it. I did not expect to be how much I got enraptured by this show. For those of you who don't know, The Pit is it was started off as a spin-off of ER, or like a reboot of ER, with Noah Wild is how you say his name, right?
Why Wiley, I think.
Noah Wiley. Um, but they couldn't get the rights to it, so they decided to make this instead. And it's similar, but the basic pitch of it is it's set in an ER emergency room that over the course of one shift. So every episode is only 1 hour, and the season is 15 episodes, so it's a 15-hour shift, and you're only getting 1 hour apiece. And it is some of the most tense, like storytelling that I have ever seen. Like every episode is like very tense. Like it feels like you're really invested in every single moment, and yet the characters are so well done. The drama is so well done. The medical stuff is really, really engaging to watch. And also, what a lot of people say is that it is the most accurate medical show that has been done. To the point where, like, I've watched several reactions from actual doctors to the show, and they go like, "Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah, no, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. That's the exact medicine. This is the exact amount of time that we would do this." Like, it is an extremely accurate show. And the best description I've seen of the pit is I believe I forget the YouTuber, a fellow YouTuber said this, but he basically described it as uh, it is like watching the Siege of Helm's Deep over 15 hours, over and over and over again, like this growing tension. And I have to agree with it. It is really, really well done. And one of the best shows that I have watched, and I'm very excited because season 2 begins early January, and I need more. Like I just ate this show so quickly. It was phenomenal.
Awesome. And
Hmm.
I missed it because it's on HBO Max.
I know, I
Uh,
know.
and I killed that subscription. Um, but my number one is again a single episode of something. It's actually a pilot of
Mm.
something.
Oh, I know exactly what it is.
It is Knights of Guinevere
Mm-hmm.
because Dana Terrace, pretty much without restrictions, and also with a massive axe to grind against Disney, I am here for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
For folks who don't know who this is, Dana Terrace, she's not the only creative person behind Knights of Guinevere, but she is one of the primary creative figures. And she was the creator of the Owl House, which got screwed over by Disney. And she has helped develop this show, which is it reminds me a lot of Battle Angel Alita. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit more the OVA or the manga than the live action movie, though that movie's a lot better than people give it credit for.
I
And I
agree.
want a fucking sequel. But it has, this notion of this floating park that's like a place of dreams and it's magical, and then you get these like little glimpses of how actually kind of horrid and dystopian it is, and this squalor that normal people live in to sustain the magic of this freaking park that they can't even go to. And it has great characters, a fantastic aesthetic. When it goes hard, it goes so fucking hard. It's it's oh it's free on YouTube. Knights of Guinevere. Watch the pilot. They have confirmed that it did well enough that they're gonna do a full season.
Hell yeah.
Um, I'm so excited for more of this.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. It actually, I watched that and it got me in on I hadn't seen any new glitches stuff, so I also watched The Amazing Digital Circus, which I also really, really like. Actually, it's more my vibe than
So, do you know what? It's not literally based on this, but do you know what inspired the Amazing Digital Circus?
yeah, like the old like 1990s like style like animation, like 3D animation shit.
No, I don't mean the visuals. I mean the
Mm.
story.
Oh no, that I don't know.
I have no mouth and I must scream.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I did know that actually. I did know that actually. That makes wild amount of sense.
like the core starting point, and like they're doing their own thing with it, but their core starting point with that show was, what if Am was just kind of a goofy guy?
Yeah, and that especially if you haven't seen the latest episode, it leans very much into that.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so yeah, no,
That's yeah, no,
it's
that's a fun one.
yeah, no. If that show didn't start this year, it's kind of always hard to like be like that. Like I really like it. Might have made my list if I caught it when it started. It's weird.
It's weird. It's also been weird. Like when do you say that you like Hello Boss season 2? Because by the time it was over, it had been going on for
For like 2 years. Yeah.
like three, I think,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Same thing with Amazing Digital Circus. It's had 7 episodes over the course of like 3 years. So like,
yeah,
what year is the show come out? Who the hell knows?
yeah. But like that is the nature of indie animation.
Yes,
And
yes, yes. But it is really good.
episode's out when it's ready. Damn it.
Yes. Alrighty, let us jump over to video games.
Video games.
You can start off this one. I'll let you start off and then I'll say my piece on this.
Okay, so I'm trying to see. No, I didn't have honorable mentions on this. So I did restrict it to stuff that came out this year.
Mhm.
And I did actually hit 5, and I don't even have to cite a hidden cat game this time because I actually played more games that came out this year.
hmm
So at number 5, I'm going to put Duck Detective: Ghost of Glamping.
Oh, you did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I did see
So
your review on this.
this is more or less a point and click adventure, a little bit of a deductive mystery game, kind of a mix of the two. It is a sequel to Duck Detective: The Secret of the Salami, which I played before and liked. And if you play that game, here's more of it. Here is another adventure of these animal creatures and this ridiculous bread addicted duck detective character. Really cute art style. The deductive puzzling is just enough that you feel clever for figuring out, but is definitely not especially difficult. But it does work your brain just enough where you're like, oh, I get it. So it was fun. I liked
Huh.
it.
Um, yeah, I did want to play that. I'm going to say right up front, listeners, uh, I did not play a ton of video. A, I didn't play a ton of video games this year, and B, I did not play a lot of video games that came out this year either. So it's gonna be not my like I played up more than these 5 games, but this is gonna not gonna be my favorite list of like video games. I feel like I did not engage with video games as much as I typically do this year, which was fine. I read more this year, which is I think how it goes. But my number 5 is Final Fantasy Tactics Remake. Or like the Ivorless Chronicles, I think is technically the subtitle of it.
I wanted to get that, but it's full price, and I refuse to give Square Enix that much money.
Absolutely fair. I will say I like loved Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, the Game Boy version that
I
came
loved
out.
Advance, and I loved the original
Mm,
PlayStation one. I have them both.
yeah, and this was that. Like I loved those games. They're a lot of fun. I really like tactics games, but I like tactic games that are like smaller scale. Like even the ones like XCOM, which I do enjoy. I played them, but they're like much bigger, and I like a battlefield that is much smaller, and I can kind of like better tactics it out.
Feels
And
more like a chessboard.
yeah, exactly. So like there's oh God, I forget what it's called, but there's a game made by the same people who made the movie or the game FTL. Um
Hmm.
that and it's a similar game that I also really like and I play that a whole bunch. I forget the name of it all. Enter the Breach, that's what it's called, that I really really
Okay.
like. Um yeah, similar thing, but this was just very, very fun. A really good tactics game. It's a remake, so it's not doing anything new, but the graphics look great. It's a really good update. So yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics Remake. Not a ton to say about it other than it just hit an itch that I don't usually get scratched very often. So
All right. So my next one, and this is your reminder that I do in fact play spicy video games, and sometimes they are legitimately good. So the next one is a game called Oh So Hero,
hmm
which is a 2D beat 'em up that is preposterously gay. Um, as mask on mask gay. There is like one early scene you can get that is your player character with a woman, and that is the only one. Everything else it is men, and it is kind of a platform beat 'em up. Um, and there's a certain amount of upgrading that you can do to your character, and you can get some better equipment as you go, but a lot of it is just learning the tactics and figure out how to let's go with pin your opponents. It is furries that we're dealing with. It is cartoonishly styled, so it is not an aggressive, oh, I beat you down and take advantage of you. it is played visually much more along the lines of, oh, you knocked me down, now what are you gonna do to me, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's very much the energy of it. All the animations are done to imply that everyone, despite the fact that you were just punching each other a minute ago, it is all visually done to imply that everybody is enjoying what you're seeing.
Hmm.
So it is the exact vibe that I like in spicy games, which is that vibe of, yeah, everyone's just down for whatever whenever, and it's a decent little beat 'em up. It's not particularly big. I think they are. It's not in early access. Technically, it is considered a full release, but it does like only have one proper boss at this point, and they are working on building out more of it. So there may or may not be more at a later date. But even as is, it is a fun little spicy gay beat 'em up.
Nice. I will have to check it out because I haven't really played many spicy video games. I played like one or two, but that's really about it. So I need to
I
play
I have
more.
a list of ones I could recommend like
Oh, I know.
now.
I've been following your reviews of them, so don't worry.
I got to get
Um,
back to those.
Number four for me is Citizen Sleeper 2. Which for basically this is a game. If you played the first one, it's a very much a continuation of the first game, which is you're on a space station where people are like you get people's are scanned and they're basically an AI version of themselves uploaded into artificial bodies that are basically just used by the company, and they're basically you have to work off your debt to be able to escape the space station, but most people are just worked to death. They're never actually going to escape. And the game is basically exploring all the different like ways to like fight back against like or like existing under a very capitalist dystopia, very cyberpunky but in space, and but in a very nuanced political way. Like obviously there's communism, there's anarchism, they explore all of these different political systems in really interesting ways. But what I like about Citizen Sleeper 2, which is a basically like more of the same, but it explores a few more interesting themes that I really thought were nuanced, in that a lot of what 2 is dealing with is how do you find a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment even within a capitalist system of like there is a value even if you are working for a company that is awful and doing terrible things. There is still also something to be said of value in feeling like, oh, I did something today. And there is something people who still get like feeling like they find value in doing labor and working with people even within a company that is awful and terrible. Which I think is something you don't often see. Usually it's just like, hey, this thing is oppressive and we're alienated from our work and we're dealing with bullshit jobs, which is a very valid story for so many people. But I also think there is something to be said too of like, there are people who understand that this is a terrible system and yet still find value in the things that they do. And I think that that is a really interesting point, and it's a really interesting thing for a game that is very anti-capitalist to still explore in a really interesting and science fiction-y way. So Citizen Sleeper 2 is a really great game for that.
I've heard good things about that. Like at this point, Yahtzee Croshaw is about the only video game reviewer I still watch, and that game kind of broke him.
I could,
Like if
yeah.
you haven't seen his review for that, so for anyone who doesn't follow his stuff, like he very famously talks fast, cuts out pauses, cuts out breaths. He had the longest pause he has ever had in a video towards the very end, and it kind of hits you like a ton of bricks.
Wow. All right, I didn't watch
It's
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's legit a great review.
All right, I'll
Um,
yeah.
so number, what are we at? Three. All right, so three, I am going to go with Strange Antiquities. And this is a sequel to Strange Horticulture, for anyone who's played that. It is very much doing the same thing again with some additional layers of complexity, but the
Hmm.
overall thing is just the same. And so what it is you are an assistant in an antique store with all of these strange and largely mystical and supernaturally empowered objects. But your boss is away dealing with stuff and nothing is labeled. So you're going to have people come with certain things that they need. And sometimes they have a specific thing they're looking for. Sometimes they have a specific effect they're looking for. And you have to use what resources that you start with and also what resources and information you gather as the game goes to figure out what the hell you even have and what it does so that you can give people the appropriate item for their needs. And it is also in some ways a little bit of like one of those choices matter games because there's a couple of branch points. But yeah, it is a mix of a very sort of limited visual novel combined with again deduction gameplay because you're like, okay, they want this thing. Okay, well the thing that I have has no picture, but it says it has these two aspects to it. Okay, what has those? Well, it's these two things. Oh crap, how do I figure it out? And it is again one of those cases of where like you can find hints and you can find guides, but when you feel like I'm pretty sure this is it and you're right, it feels really good.
All right. That actually sounds really interesting. I like that a lot.
It's like Strange Horticulture was also really good in the
Hmm.
same way. Strange Antiquities is, as I said, it has more going on because Strange Horticulture was largely based off of the visuals of the plants and like a quick description. Whereas with the antiques, you have what you see visually of it, but
Hmm.
also you can interact with it in a way to find out how it feels, how it makes you feel,
Oh,
um,
okay. Yeah.
like what what the textures are, what the material components of it are. These are all separate things that you can investigate about this stuff. So that's sort of what I mean. Like there's more layers of complexity than there was with Strange Horticulture,
All
although
right.
both good in pretty much the same ways.
All right. I'll check those ones out. Number three, it's kind of a basic bitch choice, but I still really enjoyed it, which was Donkey Kong Bonanza. Um, it is a bit of a basic bitch choice, but I 3D platformers are probably my second favorite genre. My first favorite genre will be number one on this list. But my second favorite genre, and this was just a really, really fun game. Best thing I can way to explain about it is you're playing Donkey Kong, and the entire world that you're in is destructible. So you can literally punch down all the way through the entire ground. You can destroy literally everything. And it is a lot of fun. And what I like most about it is everything is accessible right from the beginning. Like if you want to in Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can just literally walk all the way through to the final boss. There's no upgrades you need to get. Like you can do the whole thing, and it's really just about the joy of exploring, getting all the bananas that you can, collecting all of the different things. I am a huge collectathon person, and it hits that really good balance for me. Because I get sometimes stressed when you have collectathon games that like feel like there's too much to collect. I like a game
Yeah.
that feels like I can actually complete the entire list. Like I can go through, get the entire list of everything that's there. And this game is close to going too far, but it hits just the right balance of like there's a lot to collect, but I feel like I can actually do it. And
And
it's
ironically, Donkey Kong games in specific have a history of having too much.
Yes, especially Donkey Kong 64.
Holy
Yes,
shit.
no, this is a very good balance of it. Um, and it's just also very enjoyable to just punch your way through shit. Just like build a tunnel and just punch your way through an entire map and just have fun. And like you when you pull up your map, it shows you all the stuff that you've destroyed. It's just deeply, deeply satisfying as a game. The only knock I have against it is that the bosses are creative but really, really easy. I
Hmm.
never had a challenge with any of the bosses. Not that I expect like a Nintendo 3D platforming game to have extremely difficult bosses, but like I want bosses that I'll die to once or twice and be like, oh, that was a little hard. I'm not looking for like Dark Souls, but I all of the bosses in this I was able to beat just by like punching them really hard. Like the design's really creative, but at the end of the day, you just punch them and then you beat them in like a minute or two. So a little bit more difficulty on the bosses would have been nice, but beyond that, it's really really good.
Awesome. So my number two is another spicy game.
Mm-hmm.
This one's called Spirit Valley. So this is the
Ooh.
same developer as Scarlet Maiden, which was the first one I actually did a video on, and has a similar overall aesthetic, although gameplay wise is very different. So it's actually really easy to summarize. It is pornographic Pokemon. All of the spirits that you capture are sexy lady creatures.
Hmm.
The dragons, the fairies, the weird cactus thing, like that, they're all sexy ladies. Some of them are even sexy trans ladies, but
Ooh.
they're all sexy ladies, and you battle the sexy ladies with their sexy sexiness against each other. It's just like straight up from gameplay perspective, it is just old school 2D Pokemon.
Okay.
Which does also mean bringing in some of the flaws of those older Pokemon games. The big one being that unless you grind to massively stock up on healing resources, the frequency with which you have to go back to town and heal up your team gets annoying. um,
I remember the, oh, I remember the cave in Pokemon Blue.
yeah,
So
it
many
it it
Zubats.
it has unfortunately ported over some of the flaws with it, but I still have a real good time with it. I think it's finally got its full release. I got that one in early access. I think it's now had its full proper release with its final area out, and it's a good time.
Nice. My number two is Silent Hill F.
Ooh.
Um, I really love this game quite a lot. That it is one of the best written stories I've seen in a video game. For those of you who don't know it, it is a if it's a Silent Hill game, but unlike all other Silent Hill games which take place in the titular Silent Hill, this actually
Silent
takes.
Hill 4 doesn't.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've only played a few of the Silent. I played like two, three, and now F.
No,
Um,
Silent Hill 4 The Room does not take place in Silent Hill, although it is incredibly, like, it still has the vibe.
Yeah, I
So,
mean this same thing here. This still has the vibes. It's set in a Japanese town that is like basically Silent Hill, but in Japan.
mm,
It's set in like a secluded village, and I think 19. Probably gonna get the decade wrong, so correct me in the comments. I think 1950s, 60s, something like that. But what the story is you play as a young, like high school aged girl who is very much living in a very patriarchal society. But what I like about this game is it's using the whole Silent Hill thing of like, creepy shit happens. The monsters are all metaphorical and very pseudo-sexual, nonsense going on here. Like there's one monster that I can only describe as the most pregnant thing I have ever seen. Like its pregnancy bellies have pregnancy bellies. It's a very on the like nose metaphor sort of stuff. But it goes through and depicts patriarchy in a really nuanced way in terms of women's agency within it. It's not just like men bad and women are, treated like shit and abused and like are terrible. Like it talks about those things, but it also goes through and showcases how Hiniko, the main character, is trying to figure out her own choices within a society that tries to force her to be one way or the other and like forces her to make these choices between these two men. Um and what it ultimately is saying is like it's not even bad to like pick one of these guys, but it's the fact that she doesn't really have a choice or given time to make her choice to
mm.
choose these men. And in how it sort of like forces her to try to give up her own identity to because of the expectations placed upon her. And it's like done in a really cool horror way. Some of the worlds that you visit in this game, because they obviously have these like weird ethereal magical realism things that every Silent Hill game has, are really really cool and unique and creepy. The creature design, the sound design are all top notch. There's some really creepy puzzles. There's like these like scarecrows in the game that are horrifying to look at. Like just a really really great game, has some really great themes. It is not just like men bad, but also and this is the other thing too. It even talks about like how men are harmed by patriarchy as well in a really cool way. So like really really great game. Cannot recommend it enough. And the only negative I have about it is the combat is a little. As someone who's a big Dark Souls fan, I was like the combat's a little stale for me. But that is one knock in an otherwise amazing game. So.
Very cool. My number one is probably the one that listeners will actually have heard of compared to everything else I've talked about.
Hmm.
I don't play mainstream games. Can you
I
tell?
hadn't I hadn't caught that.
Yeah. Hades 2 had its
Um,
full release this year. Now, I've been playing that one for a while because I got it in early access, but and it once it had its full release, I could appreciate how much of a step up from Hades 1 it was. Because when it first came out in early access, I was kind of like, yeah, this is good. It's more of the same. But then by the time it got its full release and all the content was in the game, I'm like, no, it's more. Like, if you've played Hades 1, it's not a massive reinvention, but it is decidedly more. Hades 2 is two Hades games in it.
mhm.
Um, but that doesn't mean that like you should expect to spend double the amount of time playing it. Like it actually reduces the sense of grind that you can end up getting because
Oh, that's nice.
there's basically two paths. You
Yeah.
start out just going down to the underworld because Kronos came back and is being a dick. But then after you've mastered that a few times, um, the path to Olympus opens up. And
Mm.
so you find yourself with these options. I can go down, I can go up, and it is a completely different experience, different bosses, different upgrades, different level layouts, even depending on which way that you go. And so it gives you that option of like, I want to do a round of Hades, like, but I've been doing the Olympus one, and like Prometheus is pissing me off. I'll do this kind of run going down to the underworld because I can unlock some stuff if I do it this way. And it like the first Hades, it's very good at incentivizing you to try different things, try different combinations, try different weapons, different aspects of the weapons. There's a crap ton of stuff to unlock. And also, as in the original Hades, incredibly well written characters, incredibly well voiced dialogue, um, polyamorous bisexual lead. Like, yeah,
What more can you ask for? Yeah. Yeah.
it is one of those games that it's like it is in a lot of ways the first game again, but also better. Like everything is just a little bit more polished or shaken up just a little bit where it doesn't just feel like the same thing.
That's really cool. Question for you actually on that because Erin, my partner, she's playing a lot of Hades 2, but I've never played either Hades or Hades 1. Or Hades 2 or Hades 1, excuse me, I should say. And I've asked her and she wasn't sure. Should I play Hades 1 before playing Hades 2 or should I just jump right into Hades 2?
So
Because I know it makes Hades 2 makes going back to Hades 1 difficult, but it's like
yeah,
is the story worth it for Hades 1?
yes.
Okay.
I think if you've played Hades 1, you'll have a little bit more investment for the way things have shifted for certain characters in Hades 2. Now, it's not required
Mm-hmm.
by any means. You can jump into Hades 2 and it makes sense as a story. You just won't have any pre-existing investment.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, like your primary cast in Hades 2 is almost all new people anyway. You don't
Okay.
start encountering, the characters from Hades 1 until a bit into it. Um, but if you have any intention to play both, you need to play Hades 1 first, not for narrative reasons, but because it is a little bit like the Diablo 2 thing. Once
Yeah.
you've played the sequel, you're like, oh, this is better. You try and play the first one, it's like, oh, this is clunky and it's missing all these things that I got used to. It has too many quality of life improvements to work starting there and then going back to the first one.
That's what I've heard. So that's what I'm debating. So yeah, I think I
Yeah.
might play Hades 1 first. I think I'll get into it. Anyways,
Yeah, and Hades 1 is still a really good game, still well worth playing. So,
yeah. My number one is a little bit of a cheat, because it's a DLC to a game, but it is Lies of P Overture. I so Souls like Soulsborne, how whatever you want to qualify the
Souls
genre.
like
So
is
yeah, from
yeah.
Lies of P, um, is is my favorite genre. I love those games a hell of a lot. And Lies of P, the original game, I think might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Because it captures like it has the like uh horror aspect of Bloodborne. It's not as like eldritch horror as Bloodborne is, but it has a little bit of the horror aspect. It is a very fun like action forward kind of game. It still has that same thing with Bloodborne where you if you get hit by an enemy, you have a few seconds to try and hit them back, and you can gain back your health. So it like encourages you to like be aggressive like Bloodborne does. But also it's like Sekiro in that there's a really good blocking mechanic, which Bloodborne did not have. So like if you get really good at blocking, it can be extremely satisfying. It's like there's nothing more satisfying than facing off against a boss and like getting down like every single block perfectly. It's like mwah, one of the most satisfying things I've ever experienced. And Liza P nails that satisfaction so well. I also just love the aesthetic of the world, but Overture in particular took everything that I loved about the original game and like upped it like even more. It the setting is really cool. It takes place in like a overrun zoo, but like a horror zoo, which is very fun. And it's just a really cool setting. It's set during the winter. I always enjoy winter stuff. Um, and it's just more of the shit that I like. So it took everything I loved about the first game, put it in a really cool new setting, made it even harder. Though they did add a difficulty slider, so you can make it easier if you're someone who does not want to play it on hard difficulty, which I know is a controversial thing for people.
It
Don't worry,
shouldn't be.
it honestly should not be. I 100%
Y'all
agree.
y'all are stupid. See, I don't
I
play
agree
these
with
games,
you.
so
Yes.
I have no investment. I don't care if I piss off souls like people. If you're mad at the concept of a difficulty slider, shut up.
Yes. No, I 100% agree. Um, I say this as someone who's beaten. I will say I beat the actual final boss of Bloodborne, not the like one that like the actual one you have to unlock on my first try. So don't come at me. I can beat these games just as much as anyone else can, but I agree they do need difficulty sliders. But yeah, Overture is
Oh,
really
I'm
great.
not even necessarily going to make the call that they need to have them, but people need to not complain about the concept of them being there.
No, yeah. And also like
Like that's what I'll put my foot down on. Don't bitch about it. Does it need to be there? Not my place to say. Should people be complaining about the idea that they're there? No, shut the fuck up.
And also, I will even say, like, Dark Souls does have a difficulty slider. It's just very opaque and not obvious. Like, the weapon, like, there are weapons that you can get that are very OP, and, like, things that you can get that are very OP that are easy to find. Like, there are ways to make the game easier for you. That like is not necessarily a obvious difficulty slider, and there should be accessibility options that allow people to play it easier. But like it does have difficulty options, and even though people would not admit it, so yeah. Anyways, that's my number one.
Cool.
And you already did your number one, so we're gonna move on to our top five other media. So for listeners, for me, everything that I'm going to say is stuff that did come out this year. It's mainly gonna be books with one exception. But for Vera, I don't know what she has on her list, but it can be just stuff we encountered this year as well. So it's just stuff that either came out this year that's not a movie, TV show, or a video game that we either encountered this year or came out this year. So I will start off. My number five is, and I have most of these right here, Absolute Wonder Woman by Kelly Thompson and artist Hayden Sherman. Um, this is a recent one for me. I wanted to, after Superman, the Superman movie and Peacemaker, I wanted to get back into DC Comics. I used to be a big DC Comics fan when I was younger, read them a bunch, but I've kind of fallen off comics for a good amount of time. And I was trying to look for a way to like jump back in. And DC Comics has just started this new line that is called the Absolute line. That is very similar to the Ultimate line that Marvel had a few years ago, where it's like completely new universe, new starting place for all the heroes, sort of thing.
A little bit more leaning on the extreme lever, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the one you're reading. Like the Martian, like there's Martian Manhunter ones, like not as extreme. It's got that kind of vibe to it, but not totally. But like what they are trying to do is like reconfigure the heroes to like bring them down to their bare essentials and like shift things up and seeing what kind of like what I like about it is they're not deconstructions. Like this isn't like Superman Red Sun or like we're doing something like The Boys or Watchmen, where like these characters are like a deconstruction and like look how they're bad actually, or what they'll be like in the real world. Like these are these characters, but they are putting them into new situations that like put them in a new status quo that like explores what makes them them, but like puts them in a new situation. So like for example, like Batman in his comic isn't rich. He's actually working class. So he's a working class Batman, which is kind of an interesting like take on that character. But Absolute Wonder Woman, I think, is the best of the bunch because it is her not being raised on Theramascara, but just being raised in hell, like Hel, not Hell, by Circe, who is
Okay.
like a single mom who is raising her, and also Wonder Woman is an amputee or not an amputee, a paraplegic. What do you call it when you just lost an arm? Um,
Amputee.
I guess amputee. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, because she to get Steve Trevor out of hell, she needed to sacrifice something, so she sacrificed her dominant warrior arm. Um,
Oh.
so she does see so like at certain points in the story, like she loses her arm because it's a magical arm, and she has to like use like a robot one or like has to fight with one hand. So it's a very interesting take on her, and it's very well done. She's extremely badass. But like again, even though she's cut off from like this community of women, she still has a strong connection to her mother and this sense of like what it means to be an Amazon, even though she's disconnected from her culture, which is an interesting way to take her character. And I really, really loved it. The story is very cool. The art is really fantastic. So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman. I've read all of the Absolute comics now because it's just a good starting place, and they're all generally really good. But Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter actually are the two best ones in my opinion. So,
Very cool.
hmm
So just for stuff that I encountered this year, I read the first two entries in the Murderbot Diaries
yeah,
series, and they're real good. I haven't seen the show,
show's
but
great. It was on
but
my
the
honorable mention. So,
the books are fantastic.
hmm
And just it does such a real good job of putting you in the head of this mostly artificial being who thinks of itself as Murderbot, and like yes, it will commit itself to doing its job, and that's part of that's programming, but it also like has an emotional investment in being good at its job, but also it would prefer not to have to do its job and would rather watch its cheesy pieces of entertainment.
hmm
So getting to hear its thoughts and its annoyance at people treating it like it's a person, like it's deep annoyance at whenever human beings try to engage with it like it's one of them, it
hmm
is just really well communicated and well delivered.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to I've been wanting to read the books for a while because I saw the show and the show's really, really good, as
I've
well.
heard the show's good. I really recommend the book because it is one of those cases where I'm sure the show is good, but also like these are first person narration
hmm
stories. We hear Murderbot's thoughts directly, and it is one of those cases where the nature of the way the narrative is delivered is a big part of why it's so good.
hmm
So I have to imagine that, like, while it's again, I haven't seen it, it might be very good. I still can't help but feel, but something is lost in the same way that trying to adapt Douglas Adams or Terry Pratchett, you lose something because it's not just what happens, it is the
It's how it.
words chosen to describe what happens that
hmm
makes the original so special.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Well, I do want to read them. My number four is a nonfiction book that I just want to. I wish I could throw at certain politicians. I just want to throw it at their fucking head and be like, read this. But it is a really good book. But it's I have it right here. The Other Olympians: Fascism, Queerness, and the Making of Modern Sports by Michael Waters. This is a really good look at the and it's just it's well, it's a really good look at the history of sex testing in the Olympics and how the Olympics became the first ever sports organization to do sex testing, and the specifically two trans men, as well as a few other ancillary characters, queer characters, both trans and just queer and cis, cis straight women as well, who are around that story, who like were fighting to just be able to exist in sports, and then how it became part of this huge political thing, especially around the Nazis, who decided they wanted to institute sex testing so they could police what being a woman was and reinforce the traditional family. It is, and
Thank
it.
God that doesn't happen
Oh, I
anymore.
know. It's why I want to throw this book at people's fucking heads. Especially like Gavin fucking Newsom's, who was just like, well, people have a understandable reason for like believing that trans women shouldn't be in sports. Like, I don't agree with treating trans people badly, but maybe we should capitulate to maybe the fascists have a point on trans women in sports. And it's just like, no, the beliefs that we have of the ingrained difference between men and women in sports was something that was also propagandized by the Nazis and were enabled by billionaire asshole dudes in the United States, who were running the IOC, who just wanted to literally disenfranchise women's sports. Like, there's a whole story here of like there was a whole women's sports league that was really popular, and the IOC continued, the International Olympics Committee continually tried to undermine it because they did not like that women had their own sports league that was in competition with the Olympics. And so they tried to use sex testing as a way to undermine it and aligned with the Nazis in order to do it. But what I really like about this book is not only is it just like telling that whole history, which is obviously very politically relevant today, and again, why I want to throw this book at people's heads, but it does not lose the narrative of the two trans men that it is following. I managed to tell their story in really affirming ways and manages to capture like what their hopes, their dreams were, what they were like angling for, even amidst all of this other political bullshit that they were wrapped up in. It's also a very easy read. Sometimes nonfiction books can be a little bit drier. This is a lot of personality in it, and is very politically relevant for today. So highly recommend this book. It's a really great read. And again, if you do get it, I highly recommend buying another copy and throwing it at your local politician. So,
All right. Next one is a video game that is a couple years old, so I didn't want to put it on my top 5 from this year. But I played Dredge.
Yes, yes, yes.
Which is a really fun mix of kind of a cozy, casual fishing game and Lovecraftian nightmare. Because like you're on this little boat and you're just going out, and the people in the town are like, hey, could you catch this fish? Like, sure, here's that, get some resources, get a better engine, get a bigger net, catch bigger fish. But every now and then you pull up something that's like, that's wrong. That's real wrong. And definitely don't go fishing when it's dark.
That's what I've heard. Yep.
Because holy crap.
I saw your little clip of you encountering something at night. It was very fun.
Whoa. There's another boat. I don't see them out here very often. Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa! That's not another boat! That game's real good, though.
No, I want to play it. That was been on my list, yeah.
It really is a wonderful, because I would still ultimately classify it as a cozy game, because 95% of the time it's real relaxed. And then 5% of the time 5% of the time you feel like you're about to have a heart attack.
That's part of cozy. You need ups and downs to really appreciate the coziness. All right, my number 3. I don't have this one on hand because it is a music album. I'll be very frank. I love listening to music, but I am not someone who knows a shit ton about music or bands or anything like that. Like, I just don't follow it. I barely know. I could not name an album made by Taylor Swift. Like, that is literally how bad I do not know music. Like, I couldn't even name an album. She has era tours, I think there's a thing. So
that
like,
was the name of a tour.
Yeah.
That's not the name of an album.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue. So like, I do not know music, nor do I follow music or bands in any real meaningful sense. There's a few bands that I really like, but other than that, but the Midnight.
One quick thing before you get there. Did you hear about the latest with Weird Al?
No.
He
Don't tell me. Is he canceled? Are we canceling
No,
Weird Al?
no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
he's not canceled.
I was like, no.
No. It wasn't his concert. I forget whose it was, but he went on stage and joined in on a completely unironic performance of Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. This has been a real existential crisis for some people. Not that it's like it's changed their opinion of him, but they realize like the clown who doesn't get into anything divisive or political and wants everyone to like him is up on stage singing, screaming into a mic to Rage Against the Machine because that's what the world has done to him.
Fair. I think we're all feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Anyways,
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I'll just say this is a band that I really love. It's The Midnight. It probably is my favorite band of all time. They just released a new album called Syndicate, and I really like it. It's just really good. There's some really great songs, and part of the reason that I really love it, just because of the person I am, like they often use metaphors around being an android or being digital and like things like that. Obviously works for me. I'm a huge cyberpunk upload your brain into the, be
have you listened to Steampunk Giraffe?
yeah, yeah, I know Steampunk
Steam
Draft. Yeah,
Powered
yeah,
Giraffe?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Okay,
a
just making sure.
yeah, yeah. But this is a synthwave band. Like Steam Powered Giraffe is a slightly different thing. And
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah, yeah. I'm sure genre wise very different, just like the Android and the artificial life thing.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Steam. But yeah, like this has got a. It's a synthwave band, but it has I don't know. Like I love synthwave. It's probably one of my favorite genres. But this band, like I've never heard another synthwave band capture their particular mood because it's slightly darker. It has like a darker edge, and yet there's a lot of like hope in it, and the lyrics are really beautiful. I don't know, like their language just really, really captures just something in my brain that make like inspires me. In fact, whenever I'm writing, I usually will listen to their music to inspire me. So, anyways, the new album is really, really great. Would highly recommend them. I am not the best person to describe music to anybody. I do not have the language for it. But I really like their shit, and you should listen to it. So.
So since we're on music, this is again not an album that came out this year, but I did listen to it this year.
Mm-hmm.
An album by Amigo the Devil called Everything Is Fine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have not ever heard an Amigo the Devil album, it is difficult, I think, to feel legitimately disturbed by music. He's very good at that. Genre wise, I think the very easy influence to point to is Tom Waits.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the experience of listening to it, like he's not quite as sonically harsh as Tom Waits. He doesn't have like that degree of gravel in his voice or things like that. But you know, he'll be singing and like you'll be nodding along and maybe even catch some lyrics early on there, like, yeah, yeah. But then as the song goes and you realize either what it is he's actually singing about or exactly the kind of person whose perspective he's been sharing that you found yourself connecting somewhat to, and then you realize what this actually is, and you will feel sick to your stomach in a like, and this is not every song, because if he did it every song you could prep yourself for it. But if that's the experience of listening to an album, is that because there'll be some songs like okay, and then there'll be one it's like okay, and then suddenly no, not okay, not okay, I am not okay. And it is an experience, and you kind of do it. It's not something to put on passively, it is something to sink into and be prepared to do some processing afterwards.
All
His
right.
music is a lot, but he's really, really good at what he does. And from everything I can find, an incredibly wholesome dude.
I love that. I love that when like people who write really dark and fucked up stuff just trying to be very wholesome people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Everything I can find about the guy is like he's not channeling his own demon. He's writing fiction. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not channeling his own issues. But he finds a way to connect you to really disturbing stuff.
All right, I'll check them out. Was that on your list? I wasn't sure.
That yeah,
Okay.
that
All
one.
right. Well, next on my list, my number two is a graphic novel called Simplicity by, I want to make sure I say there, Maddie Lubchansky. Apologies if I said that wrong. This is a best way it is described as a transgender folk horror novel. It is set in a basically kind of dystopian future. What is it called? The uh, New York Administrative and Security Territory. Basically, a trans man who works for the New York Administrative and Security Territory is asked to go and check out this weird cult living in the Catskills. and goes up there and basically it's a weird orgy cult that like has an orgy every morning and like does weird sex stuff, and he's like, I don't understand, and I don't.
Where do I sign up?
Right, exactly. No, he's like, he doesn't really understand, and is trying to understand these people so that he can report back to, the government on them. But is trying to understand them and encounters a trans woman who exists in this cult and is finally able to like start to get invested in it and like starts exploring his own sexuality and his own body. There's weird horror shit that goes on that I don't want to spoil, but it is like eldritch horror, folk horror kind of stuff. It
Sounds a little
is
bit like a queer Wicker Man.
That is probably the best way to describe this book, actually. In fact, I think it even says on the back here, "Wicker Man." is Yep, on the back of the book, it describes it as a Wicker Man sort of thing. It is also very anti-fascist. It is like directly anti-fascist. It is directly like anarchistic. Like to let you know about the author, like she has also written what is called the Antifa Super Soldier Cookbook. So that's the kind of person. It's a very horny book. It's a very trans book. It's a very like fun horror book. But it is very much about like transsexuality and finding yourself and understanding yourself and your body in a fucked up fascist world. But what I also like about it in particular is like the main character is a trans man and one of the other main characters is a trans woman, and it is not like it is about like discovering yourself sexually and other horror elements and understanding your own body and things like that. But it is not like a like trans coming out story. It is a trans man
Hmm.
who is already fully transitioned, already fully lives in the body that he wants, but does not know how to connect with it even still. Because there's often these stories that say like, "Oh, I transitioned and I fully like my body is exactly how I want it." It was like, no, some trans people will transition, will still have like weight issues or still have other things that they have hangups about, even if they are, presenting as the gender that they want. And I love that this is a story that really delves into that. Well, also, horror shit going on, orgies, and anti-fascist shit going on. So highly recommend it. Really, really great story. So.
All right, my second one is another video game that's a little bit older.
Mhm.
It's called Genesis Noir, and I don't know how to explain this game. Mechanically, I suppose you could call it a point and click adventure. Sort of. It has this really stark black and white art style. It is about um it has this kind of noir setting, and it's about your character trying to save this jazz singer. It is also about the beginning of the universe. It is also about the end of the universe. It is
As
about
casually, yeah. Jazz
it is
singer and the
about
interviews,
yeah,
yeah.
it is about a bullet frozen in time. It is about finding each other across lives. It is about a lot, and it's very jazzy. And I mean that in terms of like the way that the game itself riffs, but also like as an energy. Like it feels like acid jazz the turned into a video game.
All right.
It's really hard to explain, but I really liked it. And the team are working on a follow-up called Nirvana Noir, which does not have a release date yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it.
All right. What's it called again?
Genesis Noir.
Oh, I think I've heard of this. Okay, I do want to play. I'm gonna write this down because that hits a bell in my brain. Maybe it's because your review, and I remember hearing your review about it. But
I,
yeah.
I did try to do a review of it. It's hard. It's hard, man. It's one of those things that it's like you can experience it, but trying to relay any of that, it's it's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my number one is by someone who is my personal favorite author. It is Charlie Jane Anders, and this is her new book that came out this year, Lessons in Magic and Disaster. Um, Charlie Jane Anders, the best way I can describe her is she is basically her writing style is very similar to Ursula K. Le Guin, who is another one of my favorite authors. But she is also trans, and so a lot of her books deal directly with a lot of transgender themes. Um, my favorite book of hers is The City on the Edge of Midnight, which is a really great sci-fi novel that I've actually quoted in my video that you read a quote for, called
Mm.
the Silence of the Archive. Really great book. But this one is about family trauma, but within a very queer family, and also magic and academia stuff. So it is a trans woman who is an adult working at a college now, and she goes and teaches her mom, who is like her queer mom because she's an adopted kid of two queer moms, um, teaches her mom how to do magic and hopes that it'll help them reconnect because her other mom, her mom's partner passed away and they've sort of been distanced from each other. But because of that, like weird shit starts to happen and things start to like break down and their mom actually tries to use too much magic because the way that magic works in this book is the main character does not actually know how magic works. Like she's made up all these rules. She like discovered how to use magic and she's made up all of these rules like you have to do it this way, you have to do this way. She doesn't know if any of that's bullshit or not. Like she's just like I this is how I've always done it since I was a kid, but that may be the way it works. It may not. And weird shit starts to happen because of that. And it delves into like queer families. How do you find bonds within a queer family that are different than like just biology, quote unquote? How do you deal with like feeling like being trans in like and having a queer family in a very the growing fascist modern day. Obviously, this deals a lot with like online fascists. There's a YouTuber who is quite literally like your kind of Matt Walshy kind of folks, your Charlie Kirk kind of folks um, in it. Yeah, and it's just a very uh, I think a very beautifully written novel about like how do you find connection within a queer family when you sometimes grow apart and you're dealing with trauma and you don't necessarily have all these rituals that cis heteronormative families would have around being in a family. So really beautiful book, and I really loved it. So
Great. I'm assuming you didn't name my book because it's too much of a conflict of interest, and that's why that didn't make your top five.
sure.
So,
No. I will say I did love your book. Vera's book is really good. I just did try to keep my list to things that did come out this year. So there's nothing. I think everything that I said came out this year. So
oh, fine,
your
fair
book was
enough.
great though. I did like it. All right, you bitch. God,
See if I write.
stop being so self-conscious. All right.
I'm not self-conscious. I'm demanding.
Mm-hmm. Potato, I say.
Mm. So the last one again, this was something that did not come out this year, but I read it this year. Was a book called Kitty Cat Kill Sat,
Oh, I did want to hear. Yeah.
which you've heard me talk about and I've done a review on, but it is set in the far-flung future. It is written from the perspective of a cat on a death ray satellite. It's essentially, it's more complicated than that, but that's basically what it is. And it's her just dealing with the fact that she's on a station that was not built for her
Mm.
to use. She does not have access to all of it. But she does still have an instinct to try and deal with some of the Lovecraftian incursions that occur down on Earth, or some of the long dormant systems that come back online and are either they're destructive because their original purpose isn't there and they don't know what to do, or maybe their original purpose was real messed up in the first place and they also need to be dealt with. And it is, and the author of this thing saw my review and did basically confirm my suspicion that this is an ADHD book where like in their process of their writing, they basically went out of their way to not filter their ADHD. And so the way it is written is nearly every chapter starts with an alarm blaring and the cat already running to deal with something, because the cat's not going to narrate the boring stuff in between. That's not interesting. But while running, to go man the guns or something, in her narration, she'll be thinking things like, "Oh, while I'm on my way to do this, I should make note of the fact
Mm.
that this happened because that's going to matter in a minute for what I'm about to do." And it, like, reading, or in my case listening to, because I did the audiobook, but reading something that is literally my thought process was both validating and surreal. It was
Especially
kind of weird to discover, oh, other people literally do think the way I think. Okay, damn.
that is wonderful. I did want to check that out because the pitch of that sounded fantastic to me. So.
It's good. It's real good.
Well, let us jump over into our movies. So, Vera, you get to start us off with this with your honorable mentions and number five, if you have any honorable
I
mentions.
do have honorable mentions. Honorable mentions to the two Predator movies that came out this
Hmm.
year, Killer of Killers, which was the animated anthology movie, and Badlands, both of which I liked. I think Badlands is a little better.
Hmm.
I'm I'm just really enjoying what they're doing with the Predator franchise right now. I think they're exploring a lot of different ways to come at it, which I'm just here for. I think that it's just a great way to make use of this franchise and this property, and I'm really down for it. And also, this was a this is an honorable mention I didn't think I'd be making. Honorable mention to The Naked Gun.
Yeah, yeah, that movie was great.
It
Yeah.
was really, really funny. I
Hmm.
thought it was going to be trash.
Yeah,
It
and
was not. It was legit good. I like it better than the original.
it's very anti-cop and very anti-tech, Elon Musk oligarch types,
Yeah.
as well. So I love that.
No, I dug it. So those are my honorable mentions. My number five is K-pop Demon Hunters,
Hmm.
which was obviously something of a sensation this year. And I do like it a lot. Like the songs are impeccable. The stuff in between the songs, some of it is a little generic for my taste. But it like, and I, to be fair, I didn't really come to that conclusion until I watched it for like a third time, and I found myself getting antsy waiting for the next song
Interesting. Yeah.
to kick in. But like, it is such a good time and is such raucous, high energy fun. It is a movie that, if for some reason you haven't seen it yet, watch the first 5 minutes, get to the end of the first musical number. You will know immediately if this is your jam or not.
Yeah, I did. I that is on my honorable mentions list. So it is a really, 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 really good movie. All right, my honorable mentions are Predator, Badlands, also Killer of
Mhm.
Killers, but I think Badlands is higher up. I'm just gonna name a few here: Superman, Black Bag, Sentimental Value, Mountainhead, Weapons, Wake Up Dead Man, which is a new addition and almost made my list. I really, really like Wake Up Dead Man.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully I'm gonna see it with my boyfriend. He saw it in the theater, but
Oh,
he's I wasn't able to go with him, and I think he's willing to watch it a second time so I can see it with somebody.
it's very, very good. And then also One Battle After Another and Sorry Baby. One Battle After Another also almost made the list. There's a few things about it that I have criticisms of, that brought it down for me, but it is a very good movie. But number five, and I know this is going to be a hot take considering I'm putting this above One Battle After Another, but I really, really liked The Long Walk, the Stephen King adaptation. What surprised me about it is I went into it expecting it to be just kind of like a fun, like Hunger Games-esque story. For those listeners who don't know what it is a story about it's a set in a dystopian United States where they have a Hunger Games type of thing where a bunch five boys, one from each state, walk as long as they can. And if they stop for any length for like longer than like 10 seconds, they get killed. And if they ever stop, they get killed. And the last surviving boy gets to, get asked for whatever he wants, and it's basically set up for the rest of his life. And it's one of those like Hunger Games, like we do this as a symbol of like the nation and healing and da 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 da. Um, and it's even directed, I think, by the director of the movie is the Hunger Games director. But what I really, really liked about it is I initially thought it was going to be a story about how all these boys are trying to fuck each other over, how they divide each other, and that they will come together at the end and maybe find solidarity. But what I think is so moving about it is right from the beginning, all of the boys are trying to be supportive of each other. Each one of them is there supporting each other and wants each other to go as long as they possibly can. And it is this really great look at how you find like what that it does not matter that the friendships that you form will come to an end. It is matter that they happened, and that is just as important to look at rather than how they end and how like finding solidarity and building bonds with people, even in the midst of knowing that you will be killed by a fascist state, is its own form of resistance in a really, really beautiful way. And I ended up crying at the end of this movie. It really shocked me because I did not expect to, but I thought it was really, really well done and really well handled. So phenomenal film.
All right. So my number four is Superman.
Yeah.
I liked it when I came out of the theater, and the more time that I've sat with it, the more I like it.
Mm-hmm.
This, a Superman that is I will always come back to that moment where he has his little faux interview thing with Lois, and she's like pushing back on what he did. When you act, whether you mean to or not, you are perceived as acting on behalf of America. And you crossed this border and you didn't consult with anybody. And his answer is just to shout in frustration, people were going to die. That is a Superman I want. Someone who is like, his priorities are what should be the priorities, even though he is stuck living in a world where they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cast is absolutely fantastic. I think it does a really good job of dropping you into a world that is clearly already established, but still making it accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Because like right from the opening title crawl, it's Superman himself has already been doing this for 3 years. Plus, there's a ton of other very clearly established superpower people and like sci-fi elements of it, but it just feels organic all the same. I Yeah, the more time has passed, the more I like this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It didn't make my top five, but I really like Superman quite a lot. I especially love the lived-in aspect of that universe. And
Yeah.
also them getting Lex Luthor right. Probably my favorite Lex Luthor, live action Lex Luthor. And I say that with all respect to Gene Hackman, but I really like this Lex Luthor.
Well, for me, it's between him and John Cryer, because John
John Cryer
Cryer's
did a really great job too.
Lex was really good.
Yeah, he was very, very good as well.
Here's what I will say. Nicholas Holt is the best petty, jealous Lex. John Cryer is the best manipulative Lex.
Yeah, I could get behind that very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my number four, and I'm shocked to say this, but I was really thinking about it, and I ended up really, really loving this movie, is Begonia, which is Yorgos Lanthimos' new film with Jesse Plemons, Emma Stone, and I also want to say, what's the other actor? Adrian Delbus. If I want to make sure I say his name correctly, because he is often left out of the discussion of the film, but he is very much as important as the other two in that movie, and he's really, really good. What I like about this movie, and I don't want to spoil how the movie goes, but for listeners, Jesse Plemons is a conspiracy theorist who kidnaps Emma Stone, who is the head of a big tech company, um, and kidnaps her and puts her in his basement and says like, "You're an alien. Admit that you're an alien." Essentially, like that sort of like conspiracy theory is like, "Oh, we're run by aliens," sort of thing.
Yeah.
What I like about this movie, without spoiling where it goes, is I think it understands conspiracy theorists, why they become conspiracy theorists, the harm that they do to themselves and the people around them. It does not shy away from saying this is a problem and we need to understand this. And yet also at the same time, um, understands why people end up that way and how capitalists and, people in charge ultimately facilitate that harm. And I think the movie, a lot of people, again, without spoiling it, it's very difficult to talk about this movie because it's a big movie. It's a movie that obviously relies on a lot of like twists and turns and all of that stuff. A lot of people read the ending as very cynical. In fact, read a lot of reviews that said it was very cynical ending. I heavily disagree. Um, I actually think, and I did a video on it on my channel. So if you watch the movie and you want to have my thoughts on the ending, I did a video on it. Um, I think it is actually is a movie that is cynical maybe about where we're going under the current system, but is one that is actually very affirming of the beauty of humanity and what it means to be human. And I really, really appreciated that it was not shy of looking at the harm conspiracy theorists do to themselves and those around them. It is not saying conspiracy theorists are right or validating in them in any way. And yet it also speaks to the harm, like why they end up that way, and still has a very hopeful outlook on what it means to be human while also being anti-capitalist at the same time. So I really love Begonia. Um, it's also my kind of movie. I love movies where just actors are in a room talking to each other for a very long time. So it's my kind of shit. So I love Begonia.
I just double checked his filmography. He is one of those directors that every time one of his movies comes out, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, and I never get around to it. I actually have not seen any of his movies yet.
To be fair, a lot of his movies, especially his older stuff, he's gotten more commercial with like Poor Things and all of that jazz. His movies are very, very hard to get into. I would say Begonia is probably his most straightforward one, and I also think it's one he didn't like. I don't think it came through his normal pipeline. I think someone brought it to him as opposed to him starting it off. So it is his most straightforward type of film as compared to the rest of his, which are a little bit more weird to get into. And I will also say a bit more uh cold, especially his older stuff is a bit more distant and cold. Like The Lobster is a bit more like pulled back feeling to it. This one feels it has a lot more heart in it, I think. So
Hmm. So I'm gonna say right now, I have in my head, even up into my speaking right now, flipped number two and number three repeatedly back and forth. I want to treat them as tied, but for today's purposes, I'm gonna say that number three is Sinners,
mm-hmm.
which was just such a gorgeously made movie and a celebration of culture and a recognition of the degradation of that culture, the impediments to it, um, while remaining very much a celebration of individual people from that culture. It's not just celebrating the culture in the abstract. It does keep its eye on the people, and also has some really good horror imagery on top of that,
Oh
which is
yeah.
just a massive freaking bonus.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit my number one is Sinners. So like Sinners for me was phenomenal. I have a particular love for horror movies that like have scary things coming out of the dark. Like I love that sort of element of it. I love like, you know, limited location thrillers, which this also does. I also really love poetic stories that talk about like the past and the future talking to each other. I very much love stories that like deal with time and like people hearing each other across time really well, which this like has one of the most beautifully evocative scenes of.
That scene that happens about midway through the movie, that is the best single scene of the year.
Yes, exactly. And then also, I think this movie spoke really, really well about colonialism and like the effects of colonialism and across not just on individual cultures, but across cultures and how different cultures have reacted to the effects of colonialism and settler colonialism and all of this jazz. So, like, really, really, very, very smart film at that. Like, I think should make a lot of people's top fives, but I understand if it's not people's number one. But for me, just hit a lot of the things that I particularly love, like horror genre, all that jazz. So yeah, Cinders was my number one, so I'll just say that. Um, I will jump in and say my number three, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's very similar to another thing from my TV show list. But this is the movie Friendship, which is the other Tim Robinson project this year. Very similar thing. It's doing something slightly different. It's not one for one the same. This is a movie about Tim Robinson is also playing a sort of middle-aged guy living in the suburbs who like is dealing with his masculinity. But unlike the one which is much the show, the Chair Company, which is much more dealing with like, you know, guy's relationship to his job and his family, this movie is much more dealing about male friendships found later in life because Tim Robinson is a lonely guy, doesn't have a lot of close friends in this movie, and finds a friend in Paul Rudd, but does not actually know how to handle an emotionally mature relationship with another man. And it's a really good look at like how men don't aren't able to like connect really well because of the way our culture handles that. And so I think it's like it's coming at very similar ideas to the Chair Company in that over the top surreal way. dealing with like a middle-aged guy who is like a Tim Robinson character, like just toned down a little bit to make him last for a little bit longer than a 3-minute sketch, but is just different enough from the Cherry Company that I think still makes it a unique flavor on it. And it still worked for me. So really, really loved Friendship. Cannot recommend enough. But if you like the Cherry Company, you'll like Friendship. If you like Friendship, you'll like the Cherry Company. So.
All right. So my number two came out early in the year, but I only saw recently, and that is Companion.
Mm-hmm.
The more I think about this movie, the more I absolutely adore it. And I trying to think how much to even say. Because like to be fair, the initial quote unquote twist of the movie is revealed in the first 17 minutes, as well as the trailers and the freaking tagline if you look at the poster. So I don't think I need to be protective of the fact that this is a story about basically a sex bot.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it is about, but it is from her perspective, and the the ways in which it tackles all the possibilities. Because like I said, that like if you went in totally cold, you might not know that going in. But knowing that doesn't change anything because that gets confirmed 17 minutes into the movie, and then it spends the next hour plus, hour and 20 minutes or so, examining that from every single angle it can come up with. And like I can think to compare it to something like Ex Machina. Ex Machina is a very heady philosophical look on a very feminized art piece of artificial life. This
Mm-hmm.
is not trying to be heady, but it's really smart because it's so thorough, and it just thinks of all of these angles to cover. And it did things that I have literally said like idly before, like nobody ever does this. Why does nobody ever think and then this is the thing that does it.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so amazing to see somebody put that much thought into a fairly schlocky concept.
Mm-hmm.
And it just the care that went into this movie for something that by most people's metrics, given the pitch, they would think this does not deserve this much thought, this much thoroughness. I'm like, maybe not, but fuck am I glad it's there.
I should have put that on my honorable mentions. I did really like Companion. It was a really, really good movie. Also, Jack Quaid has found his particular niche in terms of types of characters. He's very typecast in that way, though I think he's perfectly fine with that. I don't want to spoil too much because if I even say too much about the type of
I
character that he
mean,
plays,
like, if it's giving him a career, I think he'll be okay
I
with
think
it.
he's fine with it. And he's very overexposed. He's doing well. Jack Quaid is not hurting for work at the moment. So um which is good for him. I adore Jack Quaid. He's a very sweet man. Um anyways, my number 2, though could have honestly been number 1. Um number 1 being Sinners. Now my number 2 is It Was Just an Accident, which is an Iranian film that I just watched a little while ago. That I think was just nominated for a Golden Globe as well. Not that the Golden Globes mean shit.
No.
No, but well worth watching. Basically, the director of this movie, the best way to describe it is the director of this movie has been arrested numerous times by the Iranian government. This movie had to have been made on the down low in Iran, and it is about political prisoners who spoke up against the Iranian government, capturing a man who they think is their torturer, who tortured them while in prison, but not knowing for sure if he is or not, and them having to negotiate whether or not they should kill him. And it is a really fascinating film to see. It talks about different people's reactions to being political prisoners, the way the Iranian government specifically has treated people who speak up against their regime. But it certainly is certainly stuff that many people, even not just in Iran, will resonate with. But what I will say, without spoiling, is the final 2 scenes of the movie, and especially the final shot, or even more specifically, the final sound effect of the movie is incredibly haunting and some of the most difficult stuff to watch. The penultimate scene of the movie is really, 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 really rough. In a very good way. Um, Yeah, I would highly recommend this movie. It is fantastic, and easily could have been my number one if Sinners just hits all the shit that I particularly love. But it was just next, and it certainly could have easily taken the top spot. So yeah, highly recommend. I don't want to spoil it too much. It's well worth just watching and getting engrossed in. So
So, before I move on to mine, just out of curiosity, just certain parts of the premise reminding me of this. Did you ever see Lady Vengeance?
no, I have not.
Okay, have you seen any of Park Chan-wook's Vengeance trilogy?
Mm-mm.
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and Lady
Oh, old boy,
Vengeance.
yeah, old boy. Obviously, yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen
Old
old boy.
Boy is was the big one, but there was one before that and one after.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like they are actually really interesting as a thematic trilogy because the first one is ultimately about like um cosmic unfairness.
Mm-hmm.
And Old Boy is incredibly visceral.
Yeah.
And Lady
Yes.
Vengeance is very cerebral, dealing with like what does it really mean and what does it do to a person to embark on a quest of revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way you're describing that, I'm not sure how much overlap there actually is, but I'm like, you should check out the other movies that he made in that trilogy.
Yes, that does sound very similar. Like I said, I've been trying to speak around it because I didn't want to spoil the movie too much, but it does, yes, very much deal with like people's different reaction to vengeance and what it does to people who seek vengeance. So,
Cool. So my number one movie was The Life of Chuck.
yes. Also, that should have been on my list as well. I forgot that I thought that came out last year for some reason.
It premiered at festivals last year, but it had its
Mm,
wide release this year.
got it. That's probably why I didn't have it on my list. So,
But it is yeah, oddly enough, like if you look at the credits, like, oh, it's Mike Flanagan adapting a Stephen King story. Ooh, these are the pair that gave us Gerald's Game and Doctor Sleep, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is a completely different side to Stephen King. That this is the Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile side of Stephen King. So it brings out something very different in Mike Flanagan as a director as well. And it is oddly like I can relate it in some ways to what I said about Genesis Noir, the video game that I mentioned, in that it is a movie about one life and one man and also the entire universe in a way that flows incredibly well but is difficult to describe meaningfully to someone who hasn't seen it yet. But it was so direct in its addressing of the sense of hopelessness of everything
mm-hmm.
truly coming to an end, while at the same time being so deeply, beautifully affirming
Mm-hmm.
of just existing. We Contain Multitudes, and this movie is fucking beautiful.
Mm. The middle that what I'll describe as the drum scene is
Yes,
one of the best scenes I saw this year. That is
it's
such a
it
wonderful, wonderful lead.
fantastic. Like it's probably my second favorite single scene after the music scene in Sinners. So like, and then all the best stuff in K-pop. Demon Hunters was the music in movies did some good shit this year.
They really did, yeah, yeah. And TV shows, like with Hell of a Boss, Sinners as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Not Sinners. Gravity was the word I was looking for, not Sinners. Weirdly. Anyways, that is, I think, because my number one was Sinners, so
Yeah.
that's probably why I had it in my brain. Um, that is our top five things of the year. Anything else, Vera? I will say
Well,
on that
was there
point.
anything you wanted to say, like anything that you put out this year that you were particularly proud
Oh,
of, or
yes.
any thoughts on any of your nonsense?
My nonsense.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been very proud of the YouTube videos. I mean, a lot of the stuff. A lot of the things that I've been working on are stuff that's gonna hopefully come to fruition next year or afterwards. We'll
Fingers
sort of
crossed.
see. So I'm working on a bunch of different projects. So yeah, the weird thing for me this year was there was a bunch of things that I was working on that didn't happen this year because of weird shit. I think I've said this on my Patreon. There was a book that I had a book deal that sadly fell apart, but is hopefully going to happen still. But it's going to take more time. So like, sadly, a lot of the big projects did not happen. It's been a rough year for numerous reasons on that front. But I have been very proud of like the YouTube videos that I made. It has not come out on YouTube yet, but there's a video about the Ferengi that I'm really, really proud of. That I it's a weird video about the Ferengi, but I think it's one of the more beautiful videos that I've made. The video on the violence of the archive, I also think was a really beautiful video that I'm very, very proud of. So yeah, sadly, it was not my what's the best way to put it? Setbacks this year that were very, very frustrating, but hopefully some good things that I'm still working on for next year, and there's some stuff that I'm really proud of. What about you?
It's been a pretty solid year. I this might be my best overall performing year in terms of metrics. I only had like I released, I think, if I get the count right, I think 70 videos this year
Shit,
on the main
I did like 10.
on the main channel, and like only like five of them, five or six, didn't crack 10,000, which is like my standard minimum barrier.
hmm
And like a lot of stuff performed really well. Unfortunately, some of the stuff that performed best is stuff that like I know why that did well, but I had to talk about J.K. Rowling this year. I had to talk about Neil
Neil
Gaiman again
Gaiman.
this year.
hmm
So not thrilled that that was some of the most successful, but um, it was really cathartic to talk about what a shit movie Amelia Perez was.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and that did really well. Like I know, I think it was probably more frustrating for you because in my video I did focus on like it's just a bad musical. Like it's just bad as a movie. Like yes, the representation is crap and the depiction of Mexico is crap, but also like it's just bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, what I hated, that was my top performing video this year. And because of that, I got asked to do so many discussions, like podcasts and like interviews about Amelia Perez. I became the weird Amelia Perez, like with like anti-spokesperson, I think is the best word for it.
Professional
Credit,
hater.
yeah, yeah. Which fine. I was glad to explain why it's a shitty film, but but it also was like I don't want to talk about it anymore. Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
I had a video that I'm actually really happy with how well it did. Because I did a video that I think is at this point might be my definitive statement on not J.K. Rowling, but on Harry Potter as a franchise.
hmm
I had a video come out early in the year called "It's Time to Stop Asking Why Was Harry Potter Ever Good."
hmm
And I'm really, really happy with the video and also the response to it because I really was afraid that people were going to like not get what I was saying.
hmm
But I think that was one of my better communicated ones because I had some videos this year where people did not come away with what I wanted them to.
hmm
So, which is always frustrating.
Yeah. No, I've
Um,
had that. Yeah.
yeah. The video that I'm very proud of that did not perform especially well, and I knew I wouldn't, was about the last year's drag queen story hour that happened
Oh, that was a
very,
very, very good video.
very close to me. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of that video. It was a niche topic. I knew it wasn't going to perform super well, but if you haven't seen that one, I think that's the video that I am proudest of this year. Um, a lot of time and work went into that, and overall, it's been a pretty solid year. I'm pretty happy with my output, and I was for the most part largely rewarded with decent success by my standards. Did not quite crack 100,000. I was so
You will get
close.
there soon. Very,
I was
very
within
soon.
spitting it. 98,000. We'll get it next year.
Mm. Probably, hopefully, very early next year. So.
We'll see.
Well, I think you have made some really amazing stuff. I have liked all of your stuff. Both the ones you are frustrated did really well. Like your Neil Gaiman videos were very, very good. Very, very thorough and probably the best definitive stance on all of that stuff that I have seen. So,
Yeah, like I those videos in general, any of them, it always feels awkward to say that I'm proud of them because I hated making them. But like I am happy with the end results. I can stand by the work that I did as much as I hated doing it.
I've had those, my Matt Walsh video, my own J.K. Rowling video. I hated making them, but I'm proud of them, even though I hate them
Yeah.
to a degree. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anything else, Vera?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, what I will say to wrap us out is it has been another wonderful year working with you. I may protest and say how much I hate you, and certainly AI has caught on how much how much I really just want to cancel you so badly. Um, but until that beautiful day someday on the horizon where I can officially cancel you, it is an absolute honor to continue to be your friend, to continue to make this podcast with you, and to continue to get to do things creatively with you. You are a phenomenal friend, and what am I blanking on the word? Friend and person to work with. Coworker, I guess is the word I was looking for.
Colleague.
Colleague, that's the word. Thank you. I knew it wasn't coworker, colleague. Ruined the moment, but you are a wonderful friend, a wonderful colleague, and it is fantastic to work with you. So I adore you very, very much. So thank you for this year.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Because like I really enjoy this is in many ways almost like a little pressure valve release for me in the week. I was like, oh, I gotta tell Jesse about this shit before we start recording. And
Yeah,
then
listen, you should hear all the shit we talk about before we record.
oh geez, so much. But no, I love getting to talk to you on a regular basis. I love bouncing ideas off you. I'm honored that you ever bother to bounce ideas off
You
of me.
are you are easily like I say this very earnestly, like you are one of the best like creative sounding boards I've ever like had. You are so creative, so thoughtful. You give wonderful advice. Like I always love coming to you with ideas because you will always make them better. So I really do appreciate all that. So yeah.
But I I love doing this. I appreciate the time and I love you.
I love you as well. I adore you very, very much.
And
Aw.
and unfortunately, because my Christmas gift to her arrived, but hers hasn't arrived here yet. We can't open them
I
yet,
know, and
but
I thought it was going to be the other way around because mine was supposed to get to you by now. So, alas.
yep, no, not yet. But hopefully next week we can open those on stream and find out what nonsense we got each other.
I hope you enjoy mine. It should be fun. So,
I'm sure I will.
mhm.
I will be curious to see your face when you see yours.
See, like this is what I'll just say right now. I assume mine's gonna be some sort of X-rated thing based on previous ones you've gotten me, and I try to look
What?
for ones.
Just because I got you a collar once?
Yes, yes. Um,
Looks
I
good
tr
on you though.
I know it does look really good on me. I thought it
Yeah.
looked great in it.
Yes, you do. Very
Thank you.
good.
I try to look for stuff for you, but I'm like, I don't know if she probably already has this. Like I don't know what you don't have. So
That's the problem with shopping for a whore.
yeah, exactly. So mine's not dirty in any way. Not because I didn't want to get you anything, but because I'm like, you would probably already own that. So yeah.
Realistically, there's a good chance.
So I was like, all right, I'll be safe and get you something you probably do not have. So that you'll also appreciate. Well, I adore you and love you very much, Vera. And on that note, to all of you listeners, thank you so much for listening to our bullshit each and every week, listening to Battlestar Galactica. It is truly a joy to get to make this for all of you and to get to do it with Vera. So thank you for listening. Thank you for enduring our nonsense. And we hope you enjoy it. And thank you for supporting both of us this year. We earnestly could not run both of our channels or this show without you. So thank you so much. So
And I think we can forego the usual stuff.
yeah,
I like ending on the more uplifting note. So thank you, Jesse, and everybody else out there. I know this has been a hard year, and next year probably will be as well, but I am hoping for the best for you. And the fact that you are still here and you've made it, I'm proud of you. Keep it going, and we'll get through this.
Yes. We kick 2025's ass. We'll kick any other year's ass that's going to be a piece of shit to us. We'll get through. So, all right. Adore y'all. Love y'all. And on that note, mwah, live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.